Welcome, today we're reacting to why India and China suck at football, also known as soccer. And let's begin. We're gonna find out why they literally never attend World Cups and such, you know?
He's played in the 2026 FIFA World Cup finals,
Yeah.
16 more than last time.
That's actually impressive, the 16 more than last time. I remember Qatar Olympics, they were pretty decent. Honestly, it's like interesting how there's so many more African countries like this time round, and so many more South American countries this time round. Yeah.
That opened the door for some tiny countries.
Oh, well, was I should say was, because it's been like a week since, you know, World Cup literally ended.
Cape Verde, population 500,000.
Yeah.
And Curacao, population just 100.
It's Curacao, not Curacao. Oh, but okay. I believe it's Curacao at least. Also, Cape Verde, they were very impressive this time around. Honestly, they played quite nicely.
150,000. They made this World Cup feel like the biggest ever. They also made two absences impossible to ignore. India has 1.5 billion people.
Yeah.
China has 1.4 billion. It's about 9,000 times more people than Curacao. Yet neither found 11 good enough at football to qualify for the World Cup.
Okay. But Curacao is a bit different of a situation because they have like, okay, if you when you qualify for a World Cup, you have the qualifiers, right? And Curacao is basically in the South I believe they are in Caribbean League, maybe. I don't know if Caribbean actually has its own league, or are they in like South American or North American one? No idea. But if they have Caribbean one, then Caribbean isn't very much known for soccer, I would say, football, you know. And well, neither is China or India known for football. But like when it comes to Asia, there's actually like, you know, Japan, South Korea. Well, it's in the Asia, it's split in between East and West. So like for example, I'm stuttering over my words. China will be like, you know, playing against South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, that sort of stuff. India will be playing against, let's say, Pakistan. Over here you have the Uzbekistan, I believe. Yes, Uzbekistan. Man, I hope I'm right. And you know, you have Iran, Saudi Arabia, and such, you know. So because it's split like that, it results in like, you know, not as many. Well, it results in China and India basically losing. But I believe he's going to talk about this later on, maybe.
For heaven's sake, in India, 150,000 people is a medium-sized wedding party.
What? Okay. That is insane.
That really hurts.
But the strangest part isn't that China and India aren't in this World Cup. It's that they're never in the World Cup.
Yeah.
China has just one appearance. India has 0.
Wait, really? I knew about China having one appearance, right? Like, yeah. But India, that's surprising. Like, I thought they at least had one appearance since, you know, becoming independent from the UK. But apparently not. Okay.
That's fewer than Wales, Haiti.
Bro, I like how he's saying, like, that's fewer than Wales. It's just like, you know, Wales exists.
Or even North Korea.
Oh, actually, that's true. I heard about the stories of North Korea going to the Olympics as well.
You'll often hear that China and India simply don't prioritize football. They prefer and dominate other sports.
I'm not sure about China not prioritizing football because, for example, since like maybe it's been like 10 years since, but like I believe like 10 years ago, China wanted to look like, you know, they had their own league. They started buying like, you know, pretty decent players into their league to like, you know, popularize football in China, and they did not just go well. Like I would love like a Chinese person to just like, you know, pop up out of nowhere using VPN and say, oh, by the way, you know, that the thing they try to popularize, you know, football. Yeah, then Chinese people didn't like it actually. If that's something that happened, that would be insane. Also, yeah, India is known for cricket, obviously.
And while that's partly true, I don't believe it lets them off the hook for the World Cup. Because according to the data, China has 200 million football fans. And India has 136 million.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that football was like so popular in India.
That's more than some countries who make the World Cup all the time.
Yeah.
So the question isn't why aren't China and India interested in football? It's how come they can't turn a huge amount of interest into talent.
It's a matter of great frustration to me. There does not seem to be a sense of national outrage.
And what's possible if they could.
Football is the sport. China knows this.
Okay. I like this introduction, honestly. Like, it gave me enough time to, like, yap, basically. Like, it gave me so many points that I could just yap. Okay. The elephant not in the room. I like the title here, subtitle, you know?
Any country that wants to make the World Cup, let alone play well in it, has to turn its children into elite players.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them use a system shaped like a pyramid. At the foundation is the most basic necessity: space to play. Whether it's pristine grass pitches, a turf field, or a concrete lot with some goalposts, the more the better. Europe has more than 400,000 pitches.
Okay, wait. Is like the... I got a question here. Is the red the pitches or is the grey? I think it's the red. I won't say the grey, but like, yeah, it's the red. Like, by the way, the thing with Poland, they're building more. Every year, I'm pretty sure they're building more. so yeah.
That gives as many kids as possible a way to play, even casually. In the middle, there are organizations that keep kids playing as they age.
Yeah.
That could be in school, in weekend games, or in academies. Further up are layers of football leagues. In England, there are more than 11 levels, ranging from semi-professional leagues all the way to the very professional 8 billion.
I love the semi-professional leagues in England. Yeah, you just go there, you have a pint, and you watch people, like, you know, nearly get into a fight. That's basically what happens there, you know?
$1 billion a year English Premier League. Ultimately, a pyramid should work like a conveyor belt, delivering talent to the national team, which plays at the World Cup. The most effective pyramids are wide at the bottom and virtually seamless all the way to the top. That allows prodigies like France's Kylian Mbappe to be spotted young and accelerated toward the national team. And for late bloomers like Germany's Deniz Undav to get a second chance. At 14, Undav was dropped from a club academy for being too small. While working in a factory, he kept playing in a low professional league, then slowly rose all the way to the
That's
national
actually
team.
mad. That is actually mad. Like, I never knew that like players just, like, you know, could be dropped because of the size. I mean, like, I heard the stories of that. Like, who was that? I'm thinking right now, wasn't like, I don't know if it was Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, one of them. Like, they had to, like, you know, get the, you know, growth spurt, like artificial one, basically. So just so they could keep playing. I don't remember, but that's a story. And then you have this guy here who was, like, you know, he was good at the thing, but he was, like, too short, so he was dropped, and then he, you know, continued playing around with, like, you know, in professional leagues, basically. And then people were like, hey, he's actually pretty good. Let's just give him, like, a chance at the proper thing. And boom, he's here, you know?
Without that low professional league, Undav might have quit. Instead, he was Germany's breakout star at this World Cup, scoring 3 goals in the first 2 games.
That's actually insane.
Now, India and China's problem isn't that they don't have football pyramids. It's that theirs don't look anything like this. And
What? How does it look like then? Because for India, I'm pretty well. I guess India might not have the institutions for it, but China. Oh, is he going to talk about the population of China and how they are, like, you know, low on births, basically?
India's is in the worst shape. Running a business often means using one app for sales, another for accounting,
An ad.
inventory, and one
Oh
app to
my
keep track
God.
of all that information. That's a recipe for chaos. Luckily, there's a
Chaos.
Odoo brings that all into one connected platform.
Okay.
And I'm happy to have them sponsor
Do I have
this
anything
episode.
to drink?
With
I
Odoo,
do.
a new customer can enter through your website and automatically appear in your CRM. From there, your team can send a quote, turn it into a sales order, check inventory, schedule delivery, and send an invoice, all without copying some information from system to system. And because every Odoo app works together, your sales, accounting, marketing, and operations are all working from the same up-to-date information, all in one highly centralized place. You can start with what your business needs now and then as you grow. So instead of having a collection of disconnected tools, you can run your entire business in one place. Thanks to Odoo for supporting
That was a long ad.
Start your free 14-day trial.
Oh, it's still going.
Or use the QR code. Thanks again to Odoo for supporting my work. Now we'll get back to the story.
Thank you very much. Okay.
There was a time, before my time, in the 1950s, when India was a serious football playing country.
Bobby Ghosh writes about geopolitics and, when he can, football.
India is an Asian power. India made it to the semi-final stages in the Olympics. It was invited to participate in the World Cup. There are all kinds of legends around why it didn't go.
I love this guy. He's like, okay, he's like, yeah. India was invited, but there are all the legends, you know, very many legends about the fact that, you know, why they didn't actually go. Honestly, I would love to, like, for him to give like one of those legends out, you know, because like I'm sure some of them would be very funny or like very illogical and stuff like that, you know.
One held that FIFA wouldn't let India's team play barefoot.
Oh.
In reality, India preferred to focus on the Olympics.
Okay.
What India may not have realized is that it was passing on its best chance to play in a World Cup. In 1971, India beat its former colonizer, England, in cricket.
Yeah.
Giving India victory here in the Oval Test match.
The victory set off a wave of national pride that exploded a decade later when India became world champions.
Yeah.
By the 2000s, cricket was king.
Yeah, that's the story of cricket in India, like in very short, you know.
Heavily in a cricket pyramid, while neglecting.
Honestly, I find funny that I still remember this because I did like media and sports sort of thing in like at university. That was part of like, you know, the course I did, and and that was one of the things that they offered, right? And they did talk a bit about like the rise of cricket in India and like how media influenced that. So yeah, that's actually funny how he, like, you know, combined like basically what was half of the lecture into like, you know, one bit here, you know,
to build a football pyramid. At the bottom, there simply aren't enough ways for Indian kids to play. In its 2023 strategy documents, India's Football Association admits that there is relatively low participation because of irregular level of formal activities, lack of facilities, and not enough trained personnel.
Yeah.
Countries in FIFA's top 100 typically have between 0.7 and 5 licensed coaches per 10,000 people.
Okay.
India has just 0.06.
Ooh, that is not good. That is massively not good. Like, I mean, you could pay decent money for someone to come from, like, you know, let's say, where? I wanted to throw out a North Korea, but, like, I'm not sure if North Korea soccer league is doing well nowadays, you know? I'm not sure if they are doing, if they are going to, like, ever attend another World Cup. But
even the kids who
maybe someone like, where's, like, a good place at soccer? Maybe somewhere from, like, Africa. I guess they could, like, you know, collaborate or something on something.
Playing often
I don't know.
Run out of places to play. In 2023, there were less than 100 development clubs, according to the All India Football Federation. The very few players who make it into India's Super League have to deal with constant chaos.
When the AIFF put the Indian Super League's commercial rights up for sale, no one showed up.
No fixtures, no answers, only uncertainty.
Okay. So I like how they're saying just like nobody wants it because nobody knows people are actually watching it, basically. Great.
Are begging, clubs are collapsing, Indian football is bleeding.
While the Pro League fights to survive, the national team is hamstrung by problems with its governing body. The All India Football Federation officials are constantly accused of corruption and harassment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Banned by FIFA.
Freaking great. Just like, oh yes, you know, corruption, yeah, harassment, yeah, sounds about right. Oh, banned by FIFA. What do you mean banned by FIFA? Like, is it really that bad? Like, you know, corruption, harassment, those things happen, you know, that's basically business as usual, in my opinion, at least. I'm very negative when it comes to like business and stuff, you know. But like, FIFA just banning them outright. It's just like, you know, you didn't hide it. You didn't hide it good enough, you know.
The result is a messy patchwork of a pyramid that doesn't develop enough talent to make a good national team.
That sounds about right, honestly. Like, at every level, like there's like so many gaps in between the levels as well. Like at every level, there's basically so many gaps, and I don't mean like the gaps in like, you know, the pyramid. I mean the gaps like in between the pyramid, like stages of the pyramid as well.
His highest FIFA ranking in the past decade is 94th.
Because like, okay, hear me out. You could concentrate all of this on one side of the pyramid and have it just developed in like, you know, major cities, right? Like, you know, like major cities in India, New Delhi, what else? Kolkata. Bangladesh, man. That is Bangladesh, for fuck's sake. I'm stupid. What's a kind of Indian city? Goa? Is Goa an Indian city? Mumbai? Oh, Mumbai, there we go, Mumbai. I mean, I'm not sure if Goa still exists, because I know Goa used to exist as a place. I'm not sure if it's a city nowadays. What's that kind of a city in India that is like huge? I have no idea, man. I don't know many Indian cities, honestly. Okay, let's move on. But like, yeah, you could just like, you know, focus on major city development when it comes to soccer, right? And do that.
Northeastern India, more people prefer football over cricket.
Oh. This map shows me enough. You focus on the south area, right? And then you focus on this area like bit north of, you know, this southern area. And then you just like focus on the, well, this part here, which I have no idea what it is. Honestly, this part of India is like the most confusing thing to me, because it's like, here you have Bangladesh, here you have India split in half. And that is just like 1 second away of like India being basically split in half, you know? And I'm like, how did you do that? How did we manage to get those borders? What happened here? Those are like the most confusing things ever, in my opinion. But yeah, continue. Let's continue.
In Eastern India, more people prefer football over cricket.
I'm honestly gonna make a lot of people like mad at me for like being so ignorant about India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, probably.
And they built their own mini pyramid with the bottom, middle, and top. As a result, Northeast India often supplies almost half of the players on the national team.
Yeah, that makes sense.
India needs more than one region to make the World Cup. India started qualification with a win over Kuwait, but was eliminated after losing to Afghanistan at home. Bobby's concerned how little outrage it caused.
The same 6 people and their dog, myself included, who agonize about this every 4 years are agonizing about it again.
The same 6 people and the dog. Great.
I've not detected anything to suggest that a larger group of people are upset.
They are not upset because they don't expect they don't expect like anything great from the team. Basically, they have pretty low expectations. That's why like. The same goes for me with like Poland, basically. Like, Poland didn't qualify for the World Cup. Well, I guess that the paycheck they didn't get wasn't high enough. You know, like those are the jokes you get when like your players don't perform, basically. You know.
Decades of disappointment seems to have stuck Indian football in a vicious cycle.
Not enough people are interested enough for a politician to care. And
yeah.
Because a politician doesn't care, there's not going to be a change, and because there's not going to be a change, people are not going to care.
Yeah.
But while India isn't trying hard enough to get better at football, China's trying too hard. Xi Jinping loves football. While climbing the Communist Party ranks, he was pictured playing football, collecting jerseys, and he often expressed...
I love this. I love seeing this because like it makes him much more human than when you are thinking of like, oh yeah, Xi Jinping, right? And you think of like the big politician China, right? And then you look at those pictures and it's like, oh yeah, he's just a guy. He likes football, you know.
3 wishes for his country. 1, qualify for the World Cup. 2, host the World Cup. 3, win the World Cup.
Oh my days. Actually, when it comes to the host the World Cup, I'm gonna do another react video related to that and China, like probably tomorrow. And so that's that, because there's another video on that. I'm actually interested in that, so yeah.
That made Xi a powerful ambassador for what seemed like the only sport China wasn't good at. For decades, the party identified and controlled young athletes' development. The top-down approach turned out champion divers, gymnasts, and table tennis players.
Yeah. China is great at like very many individual sports, in my opinion, because individual sports require your own like personal like preservation, your own personal like input into those. And when it comes to like playing group sports, basically, well, you can put 150% of yourself into the game, and then one of your mates is like putting in 80%, and then well, you pass to him, he passes back, you pass to him, he passes back, and you pass to him, he goes for the goal, and well, yeah, he wanted to get the goal but failed, basically. And then you're like, bro, you should have passed back to me. I could have gotten that.
But never a very good football team.
Football has to be a grassroots sport, which means bottoms up.
Journalist Mark Dreyer wrote Sporting Superpower after more than a decade covering Chinese sports.
If you think about a diver who wins Olympic gold, they want to be able to do the exact same dive again and again and again with absolutely no difference between the dives. If you think about a football player who does the same move again and again and again,
you get a read on that, you get a read on that, and it's no longer effective, basically. Like, pass between the same player 5 times, and then somebody is going to intercept, basically.
And they very quickly become pretty easy to defend against. So you need creativity, you need flair, you need...
See, and this is a issue, because, like, I think, like, they would prefer everything to be calculated, instead of it being, like, basically... going wild, pretty much, like very improvisative, and stuff like that. That's what makes group sports hard, in my opinion, because like you have to improvise a lot, and you have to be creative, and you have to figure out a way. Like, okay, I'm gonna go into esports right now because that's like what I kind of understand more. Let's say you have a Valorant and you have a tournament, and it's like, let's say you've been in defense, and it's like 4 to like, what was that in the first half? Like 4 to 7, I think. Yeah, 4 to 7, I believe it should be. And yeah, 4 to 8. Yeah, 4 to 8. There we go. I think maybe, I don't know. Whatever. And let's say you get to a second half, you're in defense now, and the first half sucked because you had agents that would be better in defense, for example, right? Well, then you have easy time. But if you you're losing and you were meant to be winning when you were in attack, then you need to get creative with what you do, and then you need to play safe as well. You cannot just rely on the fact that you have defense players, right? You can't rely on the fact that, let's say you have Cypher. You cannot rely on the fact that he has, Cypher wires, basically. You don't have, let's say, Sage. You cannot place a wall. You don't have anything that gives you, security. You have to, figure out a way to, you have, let's say, a Pekko, who's, he's good on both sides. But, is he going to scout straight away? Or is he going to wait and scout later once he, once he knows the position of the enemy, and he's going to scout, and he's going to he's going to use the scout camera and say, oh yeah, he's planting here, there you go, and then he's going to use his thing where he just blows things up, and boom, and then he's going to shoot his grenade into let's say a entrance, so when the enemy is in the entrance, and well, that's extra damage basically, and on top of that they get concussion, so you can you can go for rushing, pushing, or you can go for smart thinking, staying back, relaxing, and defending, basically. Same goes for the duelists. You can push when you're let's say you're Jet, or Waylay. Oh, there we go. That's a good example for Valorant. Waylay. You can try pushing in because you can go back, right? But what's the point of pushing in when you have no idea if the enemy is going to be there, basically, right? So you have to be careful with that, right? And that's why you have to be creative and figure things out before you do things, because you can easily lose.
Opposite skills.
And somebody is going to come up here and say, mate, you suck at Valorant. You're probably in gold. No, I'm no longer in gold, by the way. I used to be gold. I used to be diamond, actually, at one point. Nowadays, I'm silver. I'm silver, bro.
China's men's football team failed to make a World Cup until 2002. It scored 0 goals and conceded 9. A humiliation that Xi was determined to redeem once he became China's leader. In 2015, his government released a master plan that said all the right things.
See, I knew that it was 10 years ago where China wanted to figure things out and wanted to do bad football. I knew something was up.
China would build its pyramid starting at the bottom. It pledged to build 70,000 pitches, 20,000 training centers, and get 30 million children playing football regularly in school. It promised to strengthen the middle with academies and advanced leagues. And at the top, help turn the Chinese Super League into one of the world's best. It encouraged corporations to buy Super League clubs and sign stars that would theoretically improve the competition. The ensuing spending spree made even Europe break
See? I knew something was up. I knew it.
a sweat.
Chinese teams spent more in the first 2 months of the year than the top Italian, French, German, and Spanish leagues combined.
And then, okay. So is the question here? Did they just try and it failed, basically? Like that's my question here. Did they just try and it failed? You know?
PSG and Chelsea are no longer the hunters, but instead have become the prey.
China's master plan looked great on paper until it crashed into reality. Millions of young kids started playing football, but most had to stop once they became teenagers.
Oh.
Preparing for China.
Oh. Because China didn't prepare for, like, you know. Okay, so I can explain this to you. Well, obviously, education in China is massive, but I don't think they have enough sportsmen, like, you know, basically, like, you don't get anything for being a sports person in China, unless you're, like, very good and, like, you know, very huge, basically. So if you, at a young age, if you don't get, like, you know, anywhere with, like, playing football, you will not be promoted into, like, you know, being a, you know, recommended to, like, schools, like, because of sports, and because of that you will have to do regular exams, and because of the exams being hard, you have to, like, focus on the exams instead of, like, focusing on sport, and then you end up basically forgetting about sport, pretty much. So there is basically a huge barrier of entry between, like, going from stage 1 to stage 3, and that's the exams here. Like, I think that's what he's going to say. I'm not sure if I'm actually correct, because I'm not a China expert, and well, that's my friends. My friends are China experts, obviously. But like I know people that like have high expertise than me when it comes to, like, China. So I'm just saying what I figured out from, like, you know, looking and reading about China and hearing from people, basically.
Very rigorous Gaokao exam left little room for sports.
Yeah.
It left a huge gap that prevented all but the very best from rising into the development.
See?
There, they were subject to relentless drilling that didn't make them great football players.
Yeah.
No matter how hard the state tried.
Doesn't have.
So that is basically what happened. Can we just compare this to, like, you know, K-pop star training, you know? Like, you get picked up, and then you go through, like, rigorous training, and then you become a idol, you know? Like, that's, like, similar deal in China with, like, sports, maybe. I don't know.
Patience for implementation. How can we turbocharge this? How can we shorten the time? The answer is you can't. But that's not an answer that they want to hear.
True.
Then the lucky few to reach the Super League faced constant dysfunction. First, China postponed the season when COVID-19.
Ooh.
Then a real estate crisis crippled owners' finances.
Yeah.
And eventually caused several Super League clubs to fold.
Oh. That's not good. No, that is very unlucky in my opinion, because, like, one thing happens, oh fuck, another thing happens, oh shit, oh, and then, like, the last thing, like, is literally nail in the coffin. I was like, holy fuck, just you know, like, not good. World doesn't want China to, like, the world, you know, doesn't want China to, like, enter the World Cup, basically, kinda.
Things couldn't get any worse. A match-fixing scandal erupted.
Former head of China's Football Association being given life sentence for taking bribes.
Chinese football has handed lifetime bans to 73 people for match fixing.
Okay. I mean, that's a crime.
The reputation of the league is being tarnished, and own goal for Xi Jinping's breakthrough.
To make matters even worse, the party divided the pyramid between political bodies, and every few years assigned new leaders.
No. This is, like, a major issue in my opinion. You don't divide that. You should not divide China like that. Like, you should not do this. What you do is have one guy on the bottom stage, one guy, like, down the middle stage, you know, then you go one guy, like, here, another guy here, you know, like, I would say split up in, like, 3-4 guys instead of, like, having it split up, like, you know, like this.
Regardless of experience, like the one who told Mark the national team's problem was pulling players from rival Super League clubs.
And I'm thinking, well, yes, that's just how it works. How it works all over the world.
Yeah.
But this guy was thinking like, oh, I've got a brainwave. And I looked up his background. This guy had recently been promoted from the sewage and waterworks treatment department.
That is not how things work, man. Honestly, the fact that you can become a minister of health without being a doctor, or minister of military without having served military service in some countries, is insane in my opinion. Like, become like I want a sewage and waterworks treatment department guy to have worked in sewage and waterworks, at least for some of his life, you know. And then he can become politician and do whatever he wants. But like, if he doesn't have like any experience in that, then how the hell does he become part of that department? Maybe he has relevant education. Sure, I could believe that. Like, he could have studied engineering, for example, and somehow became politician after that. You know, I believe in that. But if there's like, if you don't have like any experience or any education related to like the department or like, you know, the ministry of something that you are part of, then like, that is like such a big headache in my opinion when it comes to like politics. It's like, why do you put in incompetent people at the places where they need to be freaking competent at, bro?
Non-footballing people making footballing decisions.
Yeah.
China tried to engineer a football pyramid from the top down and ended up starving its national team of talent. By 2026, it was ranked 91st in the world and failed to make another World Cup. China was eliminated by Indonesia. Obviously, China's a long way from winning a World Cup. But Xi Jinping seems to have also abandoned his dream of hosting one.
Oh.
I think that the calculus from the senior leadership is that any soft power benefits from hosting the World Cup would be severely outweighed by the humiliating performance by the national team on the pitch.
Oh yeah, that would make sense actually, yeah. Like, you wouldn't want your country to look bad. Like, what you want is like the way America did this like this year around, basically, in 2026. So they hosted it. They actually, all of the countries that did host it, Canada, America, and Mexico, managed to get through to the round of like, you know, through the, you know, qualifications basically to the round of 32. Right, 32, I believe. Yes, okay. So they managed to get that, and they managed to actually, like, you know, like Canada, like Mexico won, Canada won, USA won, and then they lost in the round of 16, basically, right? And, well, I believe, like, some of them lost in the round of 16. It's been 2 weeks, okay? And that's, like, a major success for all of those countries, in my opinion. Because it's like, oh yeah, you've hosted it, you got in, that's fair. You're gonna be like, you know, you're gonna be already in there. So yeah, no, like, you don't need to qualify. Okay, you win, great. You get out of your, like, you know, your group stages basically. So you qualify for the round of 32, and you win your first game in the round of 32, and then yeah, that's good. And then you do maybe win another one, and that's good as well. Like, with China losing in the group stages, massive PR, like. No, that would go downhill from there, basically. Like, PR, not good. Chinese fans, mad. They would be like, you know, they would like question their government. They would be like, what, did we waste all of that money to build a stadium so the Europeans could play? Basically, that's what Chinese people would think. Like, you know, that would be like such a PR disaster for China. And it would have like social unrest as well, and that would literally mean, we've thrown in so much money, and we just failed basically. So yeah, nothing good would come out of this, you know. And that's why, like, that's what Xi Jinping is really thinking about, like, when it comes to this. Like, maybe if they qualify for the next World Cup, then maybe China will pursue trying to become like a host. But until then, not happening, basically.
And so they figure, well, we don't want to do that.
Neither China or India are investing in the resources or time needed to make the World Cup. But why aren't they using a shortcut? Cape Verde and Curacao didn't make the World Cup with only native-born players.
Yeah.
Both recruited foreign-born players whose parents and grandparents were native-born.
Yeah, that makes sense. Literally, like, for actually, I wonder, like, yeah, that's why you have the Curacao flag over here in Netherlands, because Curacao is part of the Netherlands, basically. So yeah, there's that. And Cape Verde, well, you have people like from Cape Verde all over the place, basically, you know?
Something FIFA has allowed for decades. 15 of Cape Verde's 26 players were born abroad, as were 25 of Curaçao's.
See? All of them Dutch. Because they moved to the Netherlands, because, like, you know, Curacao is basically owned by the Dutch. Same thing with, like, well, I mean, quite a lot of Japanese players were, like, well, not really, like, many were foreign born, but some of the more notable ones were, well, half Japanese, basically. Like, the goalkeeper they had. Like, who was the guy? I know some of them were, like, half American as well, or, like, you know, born to Japanese parents, educated and raised in America and such, you know. Well, born in America to Japanese parents, raised in America, then went to Japan, sort of thing, you know. So they are like half American in that way, you know. So that is actually like a pretty popular thing that I've seen happening recently, and like, you know, I mean recently for like past like maybe decade, I would say. Like last 3 World Cups, basically, I've seen more and more of like this thing happening where you don't really have the native like born players. You have like, you know, half native born players, basically, you know. And yeah, that is a very good thing for like places like Curacao, for Cape Verde. Yeah, that is good for like those countries. And I think like China and India should have a go at this. Like, I bet there's a bunch of Indian players in the UK, and I wouldn't say like in the pro league, you know, but like, you know, second to the pro league, you know, like there's probably a bunch of them there, and they would be like, Matt, I'm gonna play in the World Cup. Like that's what they would be thinking. Like they probably wouldn't like care if they are playing for India or UK. I mean, they're like, you know, they would be born in the UK probably, but they would have Indian parents, you know. So that's that. Like the same goes for like many countries, I would say. Like countries like you know, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and such, they probably have like, you know, half Russian players in there. So that's that. Many countries do that, and I'm fine with that. I don't really care, because like the purpose of World Cup is just entertainment and show, basically, and then sports. But like, who cares if the person is like native born, like, you know, half native? You know, nobody cares. They are playing for the country. They are representing their country. Like, as long as they are, like, you know, representing their country in a solid way, everybody should be happy, in my opinion.
These players lifted their teams through qualifying and, for Cape Verde, into the knockout rounds.
Yeah.
India and China also have diasporas, big ones.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
But neither is recruiting many players from them. One reason is citizenship. While Cape Verde and Curaçao allowed their players to keep their original citizenships, China and India require players to become solely Indian or Chinese citizens.
Oh, that is actually massively not good. That is massively not good. Like, that's such a wasted potential, in my opinion, because like, you have all of those Chinese and Indian people in the UK, you have all of those Chinese and Indian people in America, all of those Chinese people in like Southeast Asia as well, that could be like, you know, potentially playing for China, and they can't, because like they can't like allow for like, you know, half, like, you know, half China, half Indonesia citizenship, half UK, half Indian citizenship, you know, sort of deal. And that's like sad, basically. Like, they are losing so much potential with that, in my opinion.
Original citizenships, China and India require players to become solely Indian or Chinese citizens. That's something few are willing to do, especially while China and India's teams are terrible.
Nobody would want to lose their citizenship just to play soccer, for, you know, for like, just to play soccer, basically, football.
Back in the 2010s, China convinced some Brazilian-born players to switch, but they didn't make a difference on the national team.
I think, honestly, the problems run much deeper than that, and it wouldn't be fair to expect a couple of foreigners to come in and turn things around.
India is leaving more talent on the table, especially in Europe. There are several players on European clubs that are eligible to play for India's national team under FIFA's rules. But until India's government changes its rules, they can't.
Oh.
If you ask people for an explanation, you don't really get a good one. There's a lot of hemming and hawing, and eventually what it comes down to, well, it's always been this way.
I love this guy. I love when this guy comes up and he's like, yeah, things happen, you know, and just like, yeah, it's always been this way, you know, like people don't really care.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. There you go.
That could change if the government passes a proposal to create a sports passport that would allow dual nationals to represent India.
That would be good. Yeah, that would be good.
A few foreign players won't turn India into a World Cup contenders overnight, but it could lead to a surprise win.
Yeah. It could show that, like, all India needs, right, is win against, like, pardon me, it's like a win against like a major like player, some like major football player, you know, somehow, like maybe like, you know, maybe India wins against Italy somehow, right? That would be pretty massive, in my opinion. Like if I was like, you know, if I was an Indian, okay, I'm just like if I put myself in like Indian person's shoes, right, watching TV or hearing like news, like, oh, India won 2-0 to Italy, like against Italy, right? That would be like, mad thing. Yo, we're actually good at the game. Maybe the soccer thing, like, you know, maybe my soul should give it a go or something, right? So, like, putting the idea in people's head that, like, there is a way, you know, like, there's positives of that, you know, it's actually, like, you know, having people think, maybe let's actually give it a go, and then, you know, Indian, like, actually, like, you know, maybe let's become fans of the, like, you know, national team or something, and be more verbal about, like, it would be like, you will be seeing people, like, in, like, Indian communities be like, saying, we actually need more places for people to, like, play soccer, maybe, right? Football, you know, more places for people to play football. So there will be like a change to the way they think about the sport, because like cricket, for example, like nobody cared about cricket probably until they won against England, and then boom, 30 years later, massive. India is massive on cricket, probably like literally the center of cricket, in my opinion. So all you need is like one good game that will change the, like, you know, the idea of like the Indian team actually like has potential, and boom, you go from there, and that's, you know, like India could fix itself basically when it comes to like football in that way. All you need is like hope and belief, basically, in this case, you know.
And India knows better than any country what a surprise win can do for a sport.
Yeah.
Success breeds success and breeds more interest.
Yeah, success breeds success, and success breeds more interest. Man is talking, spitting facts, literally.
Happen with football.
If there's anything I've learned from this World Cup, it's that the rest of the world is getting better. A lot better. Tiny countries took on giants and held their own. They used this World Cup to get on the map and gain the kind of soft power that goes beyond football. So it's strange to see.
Honestly, that's so true. Like, I bet nobody, except maybe like few people, knew that Cape Verde exists. And then boom, Cape Verde comes in, boom, they win. They win. They win so many games. And it's just insane. And then they're like, you know, they're there. They lost to Argentina, I believe, right? And I watched that game. I was like, imagine this though. Like, I was there sitting eating popcorn. I was like, imagine if they could win against Argentina though. That would be massive. And they lost, but like, imagine if they actually did manage to do that. That would have been massive. Like, that would have been such a huge thing. That would have been probably like one of those things that would like stay with the country for like probably like the next like into like, you know, for the next 100 years maybe. Okay, but yeah. Let's continue the video.
Rising superpowers miss out on all that because of their governments. India's government has to realize what a difference a little change can make.
India wants a permanent place in the Security Council. India wants to host the Olympics. India wants to be counted among the world powers. Being good at football, on top of all the other things that India has to offer, that would be a cherry on the cake.
Yeah.
And China's government needs to gain a little patience and give up a little control.
I personally think it would be fantastic for China, but without China changing its system, it's not going to be able to allow the...
Yeah, he's correct here as well. Chinese system is like too complex for this to grow. Like, you don't need like that much complexity for a sport and for people that enjoy the sport to, like, you know, excel at it, and for it to, like, you know, grow into something that is the nation would be proud of. Like, China is proud of the sportsmen and sportswomen, right? And they just need to be more patient with that. Like, I'm pretty confident that most of the people that are, like, huge in China, like the ping pong players, like the table tennis, let's be professional about it, you know, the divers, the gymnasts, you know, like, they didn't come out of nowhere. They were trained for ages. They've been training for ages, and they became successful, you know.
This grassroots system to flourish, and China's not going to change its system.
On the bright side, China and India are closer than they think to a World Cup. They have the manpower and more than enough interest.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much for watching.
Thanks for the video, man. That was such a good video. What can I say, actually? Like, can I say anything else? I like the video. I'm gonna leave a like. I'm gonna leave a like, obviously. I'm obviously gonna leave a like. But yeah, I like this video because it was, like, very entertaining. It was very knowledgeable. It was actually, like, mini documentary style, and I like mini documentaries, honestly. Like, whenever I watch, like, a mini documentary on YouTube, I'm, like, so invested. I especially love to react to those as well, because I'm like, oh yeah, I know that, I'm gonna say something, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But yeah, this was very good, well done. Also, I like that the fact that he actually, like, brought in, like, a expert on the topic of China and a expert on the topic of India as well, because it just gives the video a much better vibe, and it shows that, like, you know, like, maybe the research was good, but, like, having the inside knowledge of people that actually, like, you know, focus on that is actually much better, in my opinion, because it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I would actually trust the guy that, like, you, the Indian journalist, right? He was, like, you know, he was very, like, good at talking and, like, you know, giving his points. He was very, like, he was very people oriented with the way he communicated the things, basically. Like, he was there, and I was like, yep, straight up, yep, I understand what you mean. Yep, that makes sense to me. So yeah, I quite enjoyed this video. I give it a like. You should actually check out the video yourself, like, without me yapping. Link in the comment, not comment, in the description. You can also leave a comment if you are going down there, by the way. I will be happy. I will be very happy, you know. And you can leave a like to my video as well, and subscribe, obviously, to my channel and this guy's channel. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you another time. Goodbye.